Frankie asks, I see the Biden administration is going back to some degree to President Trump's build the wall policy. What brought that on, aside from maybe the midterms?
Well, who
I
says
think
it has to be aside from the midterms?
That's what I would think. I
Where's
suppose it's
that
also
premise going?
I suppose it's also fear that his open border policies just weren't working, and they've caused more trouble than
No.
their
No,
political worth.
no, Chris, no. I mean, we are told over and over by the administration, officially by the Secretary of DHS, the border is secure. So, how on, why are they doing this? And what a great question, actually. The more I think of it, I can only assume that Jay was completely correct, and it was about the midterms, the appearance of doing something.
Exactly.
And I think Democrat politicians in those places are now complaining behind the scenes, saying you need to do something about this. Remember, Democrat politicians have to answer to constituents. Those constituents are fed up with having to pay for all of these services. That's why I think Abbott is going to probably quietly get support from both sides in Texas, just to say, get rid of these people, get them out of here.
Well,
Because
it is, isn't it fascinating that in Eagle Pass, where they've been having 1,000 people a week minimum, sometimes 1,000 people a day, and they send, Abbott sends a few hundred to New York City and a couple of thousand to DC, and they're overwhelmed.
right.
Eagle Pass, the town, 30,000 people, getting that many every single week.
Exactly.
It affects them now. It affects the blue cities now. Now all of a sudden, the Biden administration has to do something about it.
The appearance of doing something.
No,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Right.
And there's no question that they have a plan for the third year. I mean, if you worry about forward planning, the third year they are loaded up. If they can only squeak their majority across the finish line into the third year, you're going to see stuff that is going to blow your mind. I mean, this is basically the Democrat system right now: is that you do things in the odd years. So year one, year three, pile it on, baby, and then year 2 and 4, you modify a little bit.
Well, you brought up a good point, because usually when the Democrats hold, and this has happened in recent history, when the Democrats hold both the presidency and the and both houses of Congress, they shove as much legislation and change, as you put it, as possible in there. We saw this between 1992 and 1994 when that happened. A little luxury happened. All of a sudden, the people turned around and said, "This is crap. We have to vote in the Republicans." In 2008, this is what happened as well. 2009 to 2011, they shoved everything down everybody's throats, even an unprepared Obamacare bill, the Affordable Health Care Act. They shoved it down everybody's throats Christmas, after they were losing their power anyway. What happens then? Obviously, with all of that, they were voted out again. Now that they have that luxury again, first time in a long time that Democrats have both the House and the Senate and the presidency, they're going to shove everything down everybody's throats until the people are fed up enough to kick them out again in November. I believe they know this is going to happen. They figured they just have a 2-year window of opportunity and just do whatever they want, knowing they'll probably gain that power once again in 8 to 12 years.
And then no one ever tears it down once they get back in on the Republican side.
Right,
So
that's the
they count
difference.
on that.
Yeah, the Republicans
That's
show no
the
guts in a lot of ways. I don't want to paint everybody in the same brush, but over the last few decades, the Republicans, aside from partial 1994, but as far as anything meaningful, a lot of them really didn't reverse these awful policies.
Didn't do anything.
From those years.
Well, here's a perfect moment to reflect, because the Supreme Court just knocked off Roe versus Wade. How much did the Republicans actually do to make that happen? Or was that really done by citizens?
It was
that's
citizens.
a very important point.
It was citizens, yeah.
The Republicans did not reverse Roe versus Wade.
But again, this was a constitutional issue rather than an abortion issue, and
Right.
people didn't want to talk about that.
But they're happy to lose. The gay marriage thing. They're so happy they lost. It's like over. They don't have to deal with it anymore. Try to talk to a Republican politician about let's fight against Obergefell or whatever, in the same way we fought against Roe. Like no. They don't want to hear it.
Well,
That's because they like monkeypox.
Oh boy.
But it is an interesting point here, is that the Democrat side of the aisle has figured out how when they're in power, particularly in the White House, to bring in essentially left of center folks in the bureaucracy, and they leave the bureaucracy drifting ever further to the left.
Right.
And the Republicans have not developed any kind of response to that.
Exactly.
That's a good
None.
point. The infestation, and you just can't clear it out afterwards.
By the way, they are doing one good thing to their credit. I really had this idea and I wanted to sell it, and then I found out they were doing it already. But they are gathering names of potential Republican staffers. There's a lot of work going on to have a group of staffers ready. That if a Republican wins, they're not gonna sit around and start from scratch looking for staff. They're really gonna, have people ready to go.
I'll
Excellent
believe it when I
hindsight.
see
I
it.
hope you're right, but
I'll believe it when I see it.
but I'm cynical. And anyway, with my tongue firmly in my cheek, I would much rather see them stick to the few people they know and get rid of the rest.
Exactly.
Name me a government agency that could not benefit from being cut by 50%.
I could think of the Department of Education should be gone. Basically, as far as I'm concerned, maybe this could be a show we do sometime. We should go back and examine what within the federal government exists right now that cannot be tied to a specific element of the Constitution. Period.
And Tony, you don't even need to go that far. All you need to do is go back and take any agency or any department, other than the original five, and look at its founding document. What was it started to do? And then look at what it's doing
Mm-hmm.
and how it's progressed.
Yep.
The Federal Reserve Board is my favorite. The Federal Reserve was founded to protect the value of the U.S. currency. And since the Federal Reserve was stood up in 1913, the U.S. dollar has lost more than 93% of its value. I guess I think that's a 7%. They're 7 out of 100. I think that's an F.
Thank you for watching this clip of our Ask Us Anything session, part of our Thought to Action series presented by the London Center for Policy Research. If you'd like to see the full Ask Us Anything session, enjoy exclusive content you won't see anywhere else, as well as sneak previews, and to ask your own questions, please become a member of our Patreon page, patreon.com/thoughttoaction. Members will enjoy more exclusive in-depth conversations, as well as panel discussions, and live streams are coming. Once again, thank you for being with us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and make your day an excellent one.